Hello and welcome to this episode of The Rest is Entertainment Questions and Answers edition. Hello, Richard. I'm Marina Hyde.
Hello there. I'm Richard Osman. How nice to see you. Thank you for reminding me of your name.
As always, Richard.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a top three question from Michael Ellis. Thank you, Michael. Top three fictional bands. Who are your top three favourite made-up and fictional bands from film and TV?
I know that lots of people would say the Blues Brothers, but as you know, I went through the public school boarding system.
Did you?
Yeah.
Do you hide that well?
I hide it very well. There was a certain type of boy in my teenage years that just like obsessively loved the Blues Brothers,
Yeah.
talked about the Blues Brothers the whole time.
Yeah.
Really, they were always the type of boys that would talk over you and like not let you talk. And
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Yeah. Well, you know, of course, I never had the confidence to say at the time, but now I do. Now I have the confidence to talk, Richard. So what I would say is that,
and then
so
some.
I still have that Pavlovian response to people banging on about the Blues Brothers, which is no reflection on the film or those brilliant performances. So, but they can't be in my top three.
Yeah.
At number three, I am putting the Monkees because to me that is so radical. That idea where you kind of see the trick. You know, it's got they're put together. You've got the television show, and it's so before its time.
And also, like, incredible
the
songwriting.
music is ridiculous.
Yeah, they had
ridiculous.
Amazing songwriters. And then they turned into incredible songwriters themselves. And later, kind of psychedelic Monkees.
Yeah.
Genuinely amazing stuff. The best of the Monkees is genuinely an album that will take care of you.
So that is that whole story is incredible. So I love that. Stillwater is my number two from Almost Famous. I love that movie so much. Obviously, all the whole sort of entourage around it. But Philip Seymour Hoffman as Lester Bangs, you know, the mental music critic, who says to him, like when he's trying to say to this kid, you know, this is how you're going to pitch your profile. He describes it as, just say it's a think piece about a mid-level band struggling with their own limitations in the harsh face of stardom. And that's sort of, you know, it's the whole point. Stillwater are like, that mid-level thing. It's not like, they're not like Led Zeppelin or whatever. So I love that portrait. I think it's so perfect. I think it's such a sort of perfect movie. I absolutely love it. I love Cameron Crowe.
Perfect name for a band as well.
Yeah.
Stillwater for that sort of band.
Yeah, exactly. At number one, it can only be... It's Spinal Tap.
There we go.
How could it be anything else?
I worry though sometimes when you go, it can only be, it could literally anything.
I know. I could have gone really left.
You go, I am going to go with S Club 7.
Yeah. The children wanted to watch it the other day and I was like, no, you don't know enough about bands yet to watch this movie. Like, you're not going to get the jokes and I want you to totally get these jokes. So you need to find out more, you know. Wow, I have some really interesting cultural homework from my mother. But go and find out more about bands. And then, but there aren't them. I mean, they don't really understand bands in the same way that we did.
Exactly.
As you said, where are the bands?
And Spinal Tap 2 is coming out soon. I was talking to someone who was in it. I will not say anything this person said, other than when it comes out, we'd have so much information.
All over that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very, very excited about it. I would add Boys Unlimited to that list, which was my fictional boy band in the 90s with James Corden as the lead singer, which did not trouble the scorers. Still waiting for the second series, as we say in the business.
It could still happen.
It could.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, it may not. It may not. I have a question for you, Marina. How do they film scenes where an adult actor has to curse and swear in front of children?
There are two schools of thought on this. One is children can take it, right? They can take it and they can hear these words and it might not be, you know, they might have heard this sort of stuff at home and it doesn't matter and it's all part of the job. And if you talk to like the people on Breeders, what they do is they will do a clean dialogue take with the child in question, and then when they're shooting that actor's coverage, which is the bit when you're sort of tight on and you'll shoot the whole scene and actually everyone's in it, but the cameras are just on that one. But that's called the actor's coverage. Then the child will be offset at that point, and then all the swear words will go.
That's where the F's and C's come out.
And there are different rules, and there are different rules in America about what you can and can't do. But in general, we're quite sanguine about it in the UK, up to a certain level. And so they in general they're around for it, but in some cases they're taken off so they don't have to hear it.
Well, it's interesting on the podcast. I always think on television you don't swear after a certain time. You can swear, and on the podcast I'm aware that people listen to it in the car and stuff like that, and maybe they'll be on a school run, so there are kids listening. So I usually try and self-censor. Occasionally we say something because kids love it if someone swears a little bit, so long as it's not like forceful or something like that. It's cheeky. My basic rule, which I always said to my kids about swearing, is adults can swear in front of other adults and kids can swear in front of other kids, but you must never cross the streams.
That's really good. I tell my children that I've they say, but why can't we swear? You swear. And I was like, yeah, I'm basically, this is the equivalent of the Ferrari you will not be getting when you're 18. I'm building you a Ferrari of swearing, which you will be allowed to take out of the garage when you're 18. We're just slowly
lovely.
creating it. But yeah, they don't buy this, by the way. They don't accept this as an excuse for me being allowed to swear and not them.
The second you leave the room, your kids swear like troopers, I have to say, especially your daughter. Oh my goodness.
She doesn't.
Honestly, she swears like a livable docker from the 1970s.
He's joking. She doesn't.
She's listening, right?
I don't think she believes that this occurs as a sort of as a job. It
would be
it doesn't really feel like
it would be quite hard to explain to a child what it is you do for a living at this current moment.
And all of it's always been hard to explain.
Yeah. Oh no, I've been giving my opinion on Whacking Phoenix. Why? What are your friends' mums doing? Nick Bowater, who is a proud Pointless trophy holder.
Wow.
How about that? Yeah, I remember Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah.
Podium 2.
Yeah.
With
the trophy.
His partner. Anyway, Nick has a question. Before celebrity-based reality television shows, Celebrity Big Brother, I'm a Celeb, etc., would there have been a similar vehicle for a previously disgraced personality to reinvigorate their flagging career?
I really like this question, and I'm not sure I entirely know the answer to it. What I would say is, even now, disgrace is quite hard to reality show your way out of. And I know Philip Schofield's done that very specific format where he was not being, contrary to what he suggested, he's not being booked for The Jungle, he's not being booked for other things. And he, I suppose, was disgraced. I think the central premise of my answer would be that before those shows, before the explosion of reality TV in the kind of sort of very late 90s, noughties, there weren't that many disgraced celebrities. We didn't have to, if you were disgraced, there's a lot of terrible reasons for this, which is that people felt they couldn't report things, as we know. I mean, all the things you see is people say, I didn't think anyone would listen, or I did report it and no one did listen. Nobody helped me, blah, blah, blah. So there weren't really, the very few that, if there were disgraced ones, I think you sort of drank yourself to death and that was it.
Yes, but you went to prison, then when you came out of prison,
but no one really did. I'm trying to think about, something like Hugh Grant being caught with the sex worker on wherever it was, Sunset Boulevard, wherever it was in Hollywood. He just went on Jay Leno and made a joke about it. I wonder whether you would go straight back into your career in the same way now. I do think that people are more permanently kind of put, if they are now put beyond use, if they are now cancelled, then they are more it is harder to get back. But I definitely think that there were so few disgraced entertainers. It sort of came out after their deaths.
I think that's right. I think there's also another point, where there were far fewer famous people, what we describe as famous people, because you were either famous and known by everybody, or you weren't famous. Whereas now there's a million different fandoms, and there's people who could be world famous and have like 3 million followers on Instagram. You never heard of them. So you have that, but also there were far fewer television shows to be on. So I think what's actually happened. So if you were famous and then something happened, you were disgraced, and if there were 3 people in the industry who decided they weren't going to book you, then you were never on television again. You couldn't suddenly go to a cable channel. You couldn't suddenly sort of start making your own clips and uploading them to Insta and to YouTube. You couldn't do any of those things. So I think that actually what has happened is the supply of celebrities has grown massively, but also the demand for celebrities has grown massively. It'd be interesting to know which one of those came first. And of course, the bigger the numbers, then that's when you start going, okay, we've got to book 12 people. Whereas in the old days, all you had to do was give us a clue. Right, so all you had to do, or occasionally blankety blank, and that'd be the same people coming back every week. And now you're going, oh my God, we've got a new reality show where it's about combine harvesters, and we need 12 celebrities have to drive combine harvesters. So now we've got to book this. So you kind of go, oh great, we've got 3 or 4 people. Well, I guess we'll have to get someone disgraced now, because people at least have heard of them. You get someone who got, and that just didn't used to happen in the old days. There just weren't those shows.
Really disgraced people on those shows. I'm trying to think. The serious things that you're actually disgraced for are so serious, really.
Yeah.
In lots of ways that people don't put you back on the television, and you do have to go and do something like, I don't know, Katie Hopkins or Russell Brand or have these kind of fringe, possibly with large followings, but kind of wingnut existences. But you're not on mainstream things. I don't think we really launder people. They may have had flops.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose something like, you know, Richard Bacon couldn't present Blue Peter anymore because you took your Sunday in the News of the World and you might have lost that particular job, but you might have got other jobs back. It wasn't quite. I do think there is a sort of certain finality to the type of cancellations that you see now.
Yeah.
And it is quite hard to come back from lots of those because of just the nature of what people are being accused of. They're quite serious things. But if you're really trying to look at the Celebrity Big Brother formats, you're like, I mean, you know, George Galloway, there's plenty of times he should have felt he should have been disgraced, but I felt he should have been disgraced, but he declined to be. And therefore, there's certain people who just sort of sail on through. But if you look at I'm a Celeb lineups, none of those people, they've had flops, but they haven't been disgraced.
But then, you know, we talked about last week, we talked about Anna Delvey on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but honestly, that is a supply and demand thing. You know, there is a point at which if you're getting 12 people on a show, if that's, you know, The Jungle or Strictly or any show that needs a lot of people, you know, you go, oh, we need a mix. And occasionally that mix would involve somebody who maybe hasn't been on television for a while for various reasons. And so I just think it's one of those things where there were far fewer celebrities in the olden days. As you say, if they were disgraced, then they were in prison. And we needed far fewer guests on television shows. So actually, there would never have been a route back. You know, you would have
I would say Matt Hancock, he was disgraced. Yes. Because he was formally disgraced in the court of public opinion, and he'd also had this affair and it hasn't worked. If you are really disgraced, you may do even okay and finish third or whatever, but tell me what Matt Hancock's TV career, there was points where he came third in The Jungle and people were like, he'll be presenting this morning. It's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked. He's done the SS, he's done two things, and then what's his next booking? Will we see him on another show? I don't know, but it doesn't tend to work. Yeah. So I think you sort of slightly stay disgraced now.
Yes, stay disgraced.
Stay disgraced. Our new show. We've got a lot of formats around cancelled men. Got to stop coming up with them. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Sky, who are proud partners of The Rest is Entertainment, where you can watch Sky originals, including Sweetpea, a darkly comic thriller starring Ella Purnell.
Marina, do you like coming-of-age stories?
I certainly do, Richard.
How about a coming-of-rage story?
Okay, yes, please.
That's clever, isn't it? Well, Sweetpea is a twisted coming-of-age story, as you say, starring Ella Purnell, who people might know from Yellow Jackets, Fallout as well. Unbelievable actor. She's Rhiannon, a quiet wallflower turned serial killer. So her life is pretty mundane at the beginning of it. She continuously is overlooked by her boss. Her long-standing crush ignores her. A high school bully has resurfaced. And her dad is really sick. Then suddenly everything in her life is turned upside down. The wallflower is gone. In its place, a young woman capable of anything. Can she keep her killer secret?
I can't wait to see this. I love any form of, anyone just finally having had enough and losing it.
Yeah, if you're looking for a thriller with a great bit of dark comedy, which is exactly what this is, it's unpredictable. Rhiannon's kill list keeps growing. No one is safe. But the big question is, will she get caught? It's funny. It's very, very dark. The performances are extraordinary. It's strongly recommended.
Watch Sky Original Sweetpea on Sky now. One on Countdown that I love from Paul Bateman. Does the countdown clock only do the 30 seconds, or can it do the full 60-second rotation?
Finally. Well, rather than answer this myself, I was on Countdown recently, so I spoke to the great man Colin Murray, who not only has given us some audio, but if you're watching on YouTube, has some video as well. So this is Colin Murray's answer to your question.
Hi Marina, hi Richard, it's Colin from Countdown here. Can the countdown clock rotate the full minute? Right, I've had to do a bit of digging. I talked to Susie Dent, who would know better than anybody. She reckons it's never happened. But that's not your question. Your question is, can it? I don't think it can, and this is why. I remember when it broke down during an episode once, and then our technicians went in and I think they fixed a light or whatever. So it's a mock-up of a clock. It's not a grandfather clock or your wristwatch. So why, with every second that ticks, it lights up. The only bit that lights up is as it ticks. So why would they light up the other 30 seconds if it's not needed? I don't think it would make sense to light it up. So I'm going to say I'm sure that it hasn't ticked round the full minute. Can it? I'm less sure, but I'm pretty convinced it can't. But let me leave you with this. Why is Countdown called Countdown? That's the question you should be asking. It goes from 0 to 30 seconds. It should be called Count Up. If it was truly living up to its name, the clock would start at the bottom where it's 30 seconds and count down to 0. So Countdown should really be called Count Up.
Right, can I be the first to say that has broken me and I'm out of the podcast? That's epic. I'm going to be thinking about a lot of the issues raised in that answer for a long time.
He is a deep thinker, Colin.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. Also, he's a brilliant host of that show. Now, listen, I love Colin.
Oh.
I love Countdown. And you think this is the... Listen, he hosts the show, right? And he's talking to Susie Dent, he's talking to everyone. So this guy's got the definitive answer. I'm going to go slightly counter to him.
You don't think it's a mock-up, a clock-up, if you will?
I think a clock down, I call it. I think it is. I think certainly if you were to use that current clock at the moment, it wouldn't go all the way around. If you watch the pilot of Countdown, it goes around to 45 seconds. That's what I'm going to say. If you look, you can find it now on YouTube. I say you can, I did. And
of course you did.
Countdown, which was the first ever show on Channel 4, and essentially they were saying, is there a format here? And there's a huge French format, chiffres et lettres. And they had done it on a regional basis with Richard Whiteley in Yorkshire, in Calendar, and it was called Calendar Countdown. And you can see the very, very, very first pilot, which has a number of issues. Namely, it still has women picking up the letters and numbers, but they are not allowed to speak. Is one of the big issues which they seem to have got over the years. Secondly, you are only allowed to score points when it is your turn. So if you both get 5-letter word, only the person who picks the letters gets the points, which is one of those format things that occasionally you go, oh, I tell you, we'll do it like this, because that's like badminton. And then you watch it, it goes, oh no, maybe we should just, that doesn't seem to make sense. But a number of the rounds are 45 seconds on that. And the clock, the music is identical, all of that. Yeah. But the clock, other than it ends on a big buzzer, it doesn't end on boo, which is the perfect ending. It goes and that's the end of that round. It goes around for 45 seconds on a few of the rounds. So it goes to the half minute and then it just keeps going round. So it has in its time, and listen, I recognise...
In its time, but is it an earlier clock? Is that
It's a precursor.
The current, clock...
Yes, but what do you mean?
But my God, yes, and surely.
Yeah, yes, and. But what do you mean by the current clock? Do you know, because this clock is not going to last forever. So the countdown clock, is it an actual physical thing or is it an idea?
Oh my God.
So the actual physical thing, I am certain that Colin is right, and we've done Cats Does Countdown many, many times, and it stops where it stops, and it doesn't sort of ever accidentally go one extra.
But as a thought experiment.
But as a thought experiment, as a concept, the idea of the countdown clock, could it go all the way around? Yes, it could go all the way, because it's gone to 45 seconds before. So it has done it before, and this is all I say to you, it could do it again.
Okay,
you know
as
what
I say,
mean?
that has blown my mind, and I'm going to be... That will stay with me as an answer and a session of reasoning. Yeah.
And also, I was going to answer the question of why is it called Countdown, and I thought,
please do that too.
Well, no, I have no answer. I thought I had sort of an answer, which is, well, look, it's a 9-letter word, and so they'd have come up with something. But actually, in that first pilot for Calendar Countdown, they're only 8 letters, so even that doesn't work. Do you know what I mean?
So, I think we can consider this a mystery that's still developing. I don't think we've got any way to the bottom of that, or the top.
It is breaking news for sure, and we need more information. Listen, Colin has done a great job, but in the Warren Commission inquiry into the the assassination of JFK, I think we have years more of testimony to hear. But all I know, Senator, is that it has gone round to 45 seconds before in the history of the show, and therefore, theoretically, it could do again. Don't you think?
I agree with you. I just want to agree to get out of the question now.
Oh, this ain't stopping here. This is...
No. Yeah. This is so much bigger than both of us realise.
Oh, this goes all the way. Yeah, as you say.
I'm going to find something and bring it back next week. I just got to.
But thank you so much, Colin, who, as I say, what an
brilliant. Thank you, Colin. That was
brilliant host is of that show. If you watch that show now, it's like a Rolls Royce, him and Susie and Rachel. It is an absolute joy to watch.
This is a great one about Catchphrase from Stephen Coughlin. My wife and I are fascinated by the imagination needed to create the catchphrase images in the show of the same name. Simple question, who creates these and how do they come up with them?
That's I see those are the sort of questions I love because they're about something we've seen on television for years and years and years. And it's when people understand that there's a whole job, that actually these things just appear on your screen. But there's an awful lot of work that goes into it. We talked to Aaron Morgan, who was one of the former Catchphrase producers, and I will quote various things that Aaron said. He said, there is a phrase team. The phrase team. That's a fun gig, isn't it?
That's the brackets I want in my job title.
Yeah. Marina Hyde, phrase team.
Yeah.
A good name for a band.
I want a business card with it, phrase team. I've never had a business card and I still want one.
Well, listen, that's doable. Yeah.
What?
Marina Hyde phrase team.
Yeah.
Richard Osman, voluptuous disease. There's a creative phrase team that concentrates on just sourcing the phrases and then ideating animations, which is saying, how could you, so if we said, a stitch in time saves 9, then you'd have to have the word time. And then it would have to have some stitches, and then those stitches would sort of drop down, and there'd be like a 9 bobbing about in the sea, which would then sort of be looped around, and then it would roll up, and that's a stitch in time saves 9. That's a really bad one.
It must send you completely insane just walking around the world in your daily life, just hearing words and immediately trying to
everything. Yeah, buy one get one free. Like immediately go, okay, how am I going to do buy one get one free? So that's their job. All the time. There's a huge database of phrases that have already been used. Aaron says, I couldn't tell you when it started, but as you can imagine, it is immense. In terms of sourcing the phrases, it's a mix of keeping on top of new phrases that have made their way into popular vernacular. And
two-tier Kia coming up soon. But there are these phrases that you've never, it's all you ever hear and you didn't know it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, so if you're watching Celebrity Catchphrase and like there's like the word Kia starts walking and then just like one tier comes out there and then another tier comes out. So it's two-tier Kia. But there's always whoever you're on that show with, and I've been on it. There'll always be someone will buzz in and go, a crying word. You go, oh, it's let's see, is it crying word? No, it's actually a very specific word there. Two-tier Kia. And so, essentially they're looking for phrases that haven't had the what they would call the Mr. Chips treatment.
Because they used to be super lo-fi, the animation, back when they were like on a sort of MS-DOS sort of thing, moving around on the screen.
Have you ever seen the funniest clip of all time on television? Which is
it's a Roy Walker era.
It's a Roy Walker era catchphrase, and there's an animation on the screen, and the squares are taken away in such a way that it looks like Mr. Chips is performing an act of self-love. Let's say that. It's so funny.
I haven't seen this. Okay.
It's great. After they've ideated these things, the next job is to work up suitable visual ideas for the animation. So basically, if you've got the kind of idea of what it might be, then exactly what that's going to look like. And that's based on a combination of entertainment value and achievability for the contestants guessing. I love achievability for the contestants guessing. That's a
movable feast.
That is a long-suffering producer there, just going, do you know what? Honestly, you're going to have to make it even simpler.
Who have we got on this week?
It is. Just honestly, just make the word Kia really big and
just put it on 2 tiers. Yeah. Just literally just put it on 2. There's 2 levels and that's it.
And when the first tier comes down, just have a word and an arrow saying 1 tier, and on the other one that say 2 tier. And then put it underneath the word Kia, and then we might be there. Yes. Is it shopping at IKEA? It's actually not a bad answer. That is actually not a bad answer. It isn't. Then all of these are then pitched. So that'll be a job where the phrase team go in and talk to executive producer, that's the most fun they have all week.
Yeah.
This is an exec producer who's literally just been dealing with how expensive the lights are this series. And suddenly they go into a room where someone goes, we're going to pitch you 1,500 different animations. And the real fun of making any show like that is when you get to play along. So someone will come in and show them lots of animations.
I keep thinking of you being so good in the pitch meeting for Pointless that in the end you became Richard Osman on Pointless. Do you not think that at some phase we might move to live action Catchphrase, which is basically just like a form of phrase team charades where there are real humans on the set doing really quite bad mimes?
People would go crazy for that. If you actually filmed the phrase team and the exec producer looking at the original versions of those, because firstly you could guess, and secondly you could join in working out whether they're any good or not, or whether they should be on the show. That's an idea for you, Aaron. You can have that for free from Marina. Just film it. They're then pitched. The best ones selected to be sent off to the animation company to be produced. Now, Aaron, there are certain jobs you do in TV that you just think, God, I'm getting paid to do this. And it's a joy because you know it's providing entertainment. So you know it's paying its way, but you are also thinking, this is how lovely to be sitting around with people I like and doing something creative. And Aaron says, in my whole career, this was my favourite job. Working on the Frasers was always really fun. Stephen Mulhern is brilliant, and the team from top to bottom was excellent. And he's right about Mulhern.
Yeah,
he's so good on good on that show. I went on Celebrity Catchphrase, and I always, if ever I'm on a show, you sort of see what the presenter is doing, and you kind of work out what they're about. And he was just amazing from start to finish. And someone in just everything he's doing is making the show better, not making himself better. But yeah, that's one of those funny things on TV shows. There's bits of the show, like the question writing on shows as well, where things are brought in. Like on House of Games, whenever we do a new series, we pitch loads of rounds to each other. So the question writers have all thought of rounds, and different people have thought of rounds. And sometimes I'll think of rounds, and they go, "Okay, yeah, let's do that." Yeah, and they have to try it out. You have to. So we'll watch all these rounds, and 2 or 3 of them will make it through to a new series. And then if I've got one, they always go, "Yeah, I think it's a really good idea, Rich."
Maybe too good.
It's maybe too good. It's quite difficult to source some of the answers, but we can absolutely make it work if you want to. And very occasionally, just to be naughty, I go, "Yeah, I do want to." Okay, no, it's fine. I get it. This one doesn't work. But yeah, that's part of the fun of making a TV show like that, is that thing of you have to test every single thing out before the contestants do. But thank you so much to Aaron for all of that stuff, and also lovely to hear how much fun it is working on Celebrity Catchphrase. It's certainly fun to appear on it. That's it. Honestly, as a celebrity, if you want,
did you win?
I did, yes, against Penny Lancaster and Greg Wallace, yeah, like 56 grand for charity, which is so great. What a lovely thing to be able to do, and it's coming from advertisers, not from license fee payers. So it's that's the absolute dream. Like money going to
Penny lovely.
Penny was really lovely, I have to say. And Greg Wallace is one of those people. We've spoken a bit about Greg Wallace before.
Go on.
Whenever he comes on set, and I think people have preconceived notions about him, it's always an absolute delight. And everyone at the end of the day goes, "Oh, I didn't expect to like Greg Wallace as much as I did." But yeah, he's also, there as he came on House of Games, he delighted everybody.
Well, that is taking you inside the action.
Yeah, isn't it just?
We will see you again. Please keep sending in your questions. The rest is entertainment@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Marina. I'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.